Okay, so today we're going to go on to just the next two laws of indices. Like I said, there's 9 in total, and we're going to look at laws 5 and 6 today. So we've looked at 4 laws so far. Multiplying the bases, you add the powers. Dividing the bases, you subtract the powers. A power to the power, you multiply the powers. And anything to the power of 0 is 1. So those are the 4 laws we've done so far. So we're going to look at Law 5 today. And let's look at the way it is written in our log tables to begin with. And it's written like this, that if I have something to a minus power, a to the power of minus p, like this, I can write that as 1 over a to the power of p. So let's put some words on that in English to describe it. And that is a power underneath the line in a fraction like this, so on the denominator if you prefer. A power underneath the line is a negative power. Let's look at an example of what that might look like. So for example, when I write down something like 2 to the power of minus 3, that means 1 over 2 to the power of 3. That's what it means. Or that's the same as 1 over 8. 1 over 8 can be written as 2 to the power of minus 3. Those things are exactly the same number. Let's do it in our calculator just to feel a bit more comfortable with the fact that that's true. If I have 1 over 8, 1/8, and that as a fraction is 0.125, 1 over 2 to the power of minus 3, also, I don't have minus 1 over 2 to the power of 3, which is 1/8, and 2 to the power of a negative 3 is also 1/8. So they are all the same thing. We can go the other way as well. If I have 1 over 5 squared, that's the same as 5 to the power of minus 2. What happens if I have a minus number underneath the line? So if I have 1 over 7 to the power of minus 3, well, that's the same as 7 to the power of plus 3, because I can take out the denominator and I change the sign. So I just change the sign. Change the sign of the power to take it out of the denominator. And you saw that actually happen on the calculator a second ago when I typed in, by accident, I typed in 1 over 2 to the power of minus 3 like this, and it changed it to 8, same as 2 to the power of 3. It's worth noting that it doesn't have to be a 1 on top. If I have 7 over 5 to the power of 6, that is the same as 7 multiplied by 5 to the power of minus 6. Or if I have 2 times 3 to the power of minus 8, I can rewrite that as 2 over 3 to the power of 8. So you can see what's happening there. It's a bit of an odd law, but it's really useful when we start working with variables. So let's do one with an x in it. If I have 3 times x to the power of minus 5, that can be written as 3 over x to the power of 5. Okay, so that's important that we know that we can swap between a number under the line just by changing the powers. What if there's no power under the line? If I have a half, well, that's 1 over 2 to the power of 1. So that's the same as 2 to the power of minus 1. So those examples there are very important. Right, and then just one more law that I want to do today, Law 6. And Law 6 tells us that if I have a fraction power, if I have a to the power of 1 over p, so a fraction in my power, that is the pth root of a. And that's pretty hard to follow, so we need to get into an example with this straight away. So for example, what this means is that if I have, for example, 16 to the power of a half, that is the same as writing the square root of 16, which of course we know is 4. And it's not just kept to powers of a half. If I have 8 to the power of a third, that means the cube root. Cube root of 8. Cube root of 8. And look, we can do this in our calculator. You can see that we have a cube root sign here above my square root sign. See the little 3 in there? So that's undoing a cube. So if I do shift cube root, see the little 3 appears next to it, of 8, I get 2. The cube root of 8, which is 2. And the calculator can also deal with fraction powers. So if I've got 8 to the power of 1 over 3, I can put a fraction into my power like that. I get 2 as well. Same thing, 64 to the power of half. Power of a half, that means the square root of 64, which is 8. So power of a half means the square root, power of a third means the cube root. We can go further. We can get the fourth root of things. So 64 to the power of a quarter. We can get the fifth root. We can get the 10th root. There's no limit to roots that we can do. So that means the fourth root of 64. Well, how do I do that in my calculator? You see how we can get any power on our calculator? Well, above that, you can get any root. So you press 4 for my fourth root first, then shift here, and it puts the little 4 above my root like that. So the fourth root of 64 is 2.828. So it's a decimal, the way a lot of square roots are decimals too. 2.828, and so on. Okay, so that's the 5th and 6th laws, and I'm going to ask you to practice a little bit with those before we go on to the next laws. Thank you.